now actually getting. So
I have forwarded 3 of the documents to PPTs. They're saying you are not received
okay.
yet. Coming all to this interactive session on promotion of sustainable agriculture in scale, insights from the journey. And so let's start the session. We'll start with a brief introduction about our esteemed speaker, Dr. Ramanjaneyulu GV. So, Dr. Ramanjaneyulu GV, an eminent agricultural scientist and expert in the field of sustainable agriculture and agribusiness management. He holds a PhD uh, in agriculture from the prestigious IARI Institute, and his illustrious career began with a BSc and MSc from Andhra Agriculture University. Currently serving as the Executive Director of Center for Sustainable Agriculture. The organization is currently working with over 50,000 farmers across 3 states, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Maharashtra. The main is to empower the farmers to adopt ecologically and economically sustainable farming practices. His organization is directly involved in promotion and strengthening of 60 FPOs in AP and Telangana. And the Center for Sustainable Agriculture has been recognized by the National Center for Organic and Natural Farming as the largest organic certifying agency with 46,885 farmers covering 45,603 hectares in 7 states. Dr. Ramanjaneyulu has played a pivotal role in supporting government programs in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Maharashtra aimed at promotion of natural farming. Under his guidance, organic and natural growers have been linked directly to markets through renowned brand Sahaj Aharam. He is a prolific writer and researcher. He has authored over 20 reports, 5 books, and 25 peer-reviewed research articles. His remarkable work has earned him numerous awards and acknowledgements, including the prestigious Kumarappa Memorial Awards and other awards, to name just a few. He has been very active in spreading and connecting with a larger audience around the issue pertaining to agriculture. He has delivered 6 inspiring TEDx talks, including Poison on the Plate, How You Can Help Ensure a Secure Income, etc. Moreover, he has produced a feature film, Mitti Back to Roots, shedding lights on the agrarian crisis and potential solution based on real life experience across India. So it's an honor to have you as a esteemed guest speaker, sir. We look forward to gaining insights from your wealth of knowledge and experience during the session. Just an information to all the participants that as we planned. After sir's presentation, we'll have the question and answer session. And we'll start with few questions which has been already consolidated in the Google form. So I would request you all to write your specific queries question in the chat box during the presentation, and we'll take up your questions after that. So with this, I would like to invite sir for his sharing of his experiences journey so far. Over to you, sir. Thank you for joining.
Yeah. If there are questions which are already collected, it may help me if you can say that if you have already consolidated any questions.
Yeah, there are few questions, sir, but we are thinking if we'll take up those questions after the presentation.
No, that we will anyway do. That
Yeah.
Anyway we will do. But if there are questions, it will help me in terms of broadly. If you can mention what are the key questions you have, it will help me.
You can share those questions. That will good actually.
Yeah. So shall I read it out or?
Yeah, please read out.
Yeah. There are a few questions like, while pursuing the natural farming journey, what has been the initial challenges faced and processes adopted to overcome the challenges? What are the strategies followed for scaling up of natural farming in scale?
Okay.
Particularly in collaboration with government. How the availability of bio inputs to farmers in scale has been successful, and what are those models? Are there any recent study findings related to promotion of vegetable farming in natural farming approach, where farmers have realized better production and income as compared to conventional synthetic farming?
Okay.
Fourth one is, what has been the institutional mechanism to reach out significant scale?
Okay.
Is there any experience of successful FPOs that have achieved business viability through promotion of organic products, and what are the models?
Okay.
What are the critical aspects and dimensions one need to look into while piloting natural farming?
Okay.
And Eighth one is, what are the anticipated risks in the process of transition from conventional farming into natural farming? What measures can be taken to mitigate the risk? And the last one is, what are the policy level changes in the government to scale up natural farming in the state? These are few of the questions that we have consolidated, sir.
Right.
Yeah.
That's nice. So it will help me in terms of when I'm talking about these things. It will help me in guiding. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for this opportunity to share about our work. And I'm Ramanjaneyulu. I work with CSA. So I represent 3 organizations actually. So Center for Sustainable Agriculture is one, and which is a not-for-profit which we started 20 years back. So we are a 20 years old organization working with farmers across the country. And Sahajaram is a producer company. It's a federation of producer companies. So we have 60 farmer cooperatives which are part of that. And organic products which are produced by the farmers are retailed directly, but other produce are sold in bulk. So by Sahajaram Producer Company. It's a federation of farmers cooperatives. The third institution is the Krishna Sudha Academy for Agroecology. This is a research and education wing of CSA, which has just started working. And this is near Vijayawada. It's a campus where people can come stay and learn about organic natural farming, FPO management, food processing, and various other dimensions of agriculture. This is a research and education center coming up near Vijayawada. So, in this 20 years of journey, we started this organization in 2004. Very briefly to mention, we started this organization when the Andhra Pradesh state had a lot of farmer suicides. Andhra Pradesh has the dubious distinction of having the largest farmer suicides for a long time, and also highest indebtedness in agriculture is also from Andhra Pradesh even today. So we are the largest indebted state. So one of the things we were trying to look at in the last 20 years is how to work with farmers so that we can establish alternative models. But we also have seen when we started this organization. So briefly, my background, I have studied PhD. I did my PhD in agriculture. I was into Indian Revenue Service, Indian Agriculture Research Service. But in all these, I found what is missing is there are a lot of initiatives happening in the country, but all of them remain as islands of successes. So there will be some farmers here, some farmers there trying out on alternatives. There will be one cooperative here, one cooperative there, but not scaled up to a larger area. Government will be doing something, people will be doing something. So there is no cohesive approach, an integrated approach. So we thought we should work around these things. So that's where we started CSA. And initially we are working through other organizations, and 2004 we started this organization. And right from the beginning, our focus is landscape. So entire village is our focus, not just looking at few beneficiaries kind of thing. So entire village transforming to pesticide-free production, or entire village transforming to organic kind of approach is what we have taken. So we have first villages, Punukula, Yanabavi, which move towards pesticide-free and organic production. And they continue to be so even today after 20 years. Nearly after 18 to 20 years, they continue to be doing it. Second, we started working in Vidarbha. We started working in Punjab. So our choice of states was also based on the crisis. Wherever the crisis in agriculture is higher, we thought we should go and work there. In terms of ecological challenges, in terms of farmer suicides. So that's the focus we had very initially. And we started around 2010, we started working on markets, so where farmers can sell directly to the consumers. So we started as a farmers market, but quickly we moved into a cooperative model. So farmers cooperatives and consumer cooperative was established. And then we started our first store in 2009, and we continued the stores after that. And 2009 was the first store we started. And we are also a PGS Regional Council. And then the journey on the very initial success came up when we worked with Andhra Pradesh government in scaling up the non-pesticidal management. We call it as non-pesticidal management. So the idea was to train farmers so that they can learn and practice the managing pests without using pesticides. So we did this in Andhra Pradesh fairly on a large scale. It happened in around 30 lakh acres over a period of 5 years. And that was showcased in show Satyameva Jayate, one of the show. Some of you might have seen this called Toxic Food. No?
Yes, sir.
That was one of the show. And so that was one line of work which we did. Second line of work we started. So first was about organic production, pesticide-free production. And then how this can be linked to the markets directly. That is one line of. Second line of work, we also began looking at how seed production can be taken up at the farmers level so that we can have good quality seed available to all farmers, and also have a legal system where it can be shared through an open source licensing. So we started this in 2010, and today we have farmers cooperatives which are producing and selling seeds as well. So we started working in various states, including in Northeast, etc. And so while doing so, another important area we also realized is that farmers' access to support services by government is also very low. Say government may have a lot of schemes and programs. So for example, in Andhra Pradesh today, farmers farm household, an average farm household gets about ₹1 lakh under various schemes as a direct cash transfer, ₹1 lakh per year. But many of the farmers will not have access to that because of the various problems, hurdles, etc. So we also started a helpline to look at how farmers can directly get information about whether the schemes, whether the problems, etc. So a helpline was started in 2018, and then they are continuing the helpline for farmers. And we also worked on various programs around the IT solutions for farming. So we have mobile applications for this. And Krishna Sudha Academy is our latest work where we are starting as an academy. Briefly, 20 years journey is this. And currently, we are working mostly in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Maharashtra at the farmers level. And we also work in other states, either for research projects or for providing extension support services or to support certification. So under various programs and schemes, we work in various states across the country. We work in about 12 states. Total reach is around 1 lakh farmers. And in that, about 40,000 would be about organic, 50,000 would be organic, and around 60,000 would be in the transition process. So transitions we see as good agriculture practices and also non-pesticidal management, which is pesticide-free. We are also a resource organization for NABARD, both for establishing FPOs under CBVOs and POPI programs. And we are also a resource organization for supporting FPOs formed by other organizations. So 63 are promoted by CSA and 154 are supported by CSA. So that's our extension advisory and business development initiative. Under the organic certification, as you know, in India has two kinds of certifications, PGS and third-party certification. And we are the largest PGS organic certifying agency. So we are a regional council. And we do two kinds of certifications. One is a small group certification where a group of 10 to 15 farmers can register themselves. And there is a peer reviewing and then we verify. So about 1 lakh acres is under this certification with 51,000 farmers spread over Andhra, Telangana, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu. We also do a large area certification where entire village is organic. So there's a different rules for this. We did already declare about 110 villages and many more villages are in the pipeline. And this 110 villages with 10,000 farmers covering about 1.63 lakh acres. So in all about 2.77 lakh acres is certified by CSA. So in India, we have about 12 lakh acres under the PGS organic certification and 3 lakh acres is certified by CSA. That's the range we have. So the core work CSA does is working on agroecological approaches to try and promote organic natural farming practices. And household is the unit we work with. So income from crop production itself is not sufficient. So we try to look at what allied and additional livelihoods are possible so that the household income can be increased. We organize farmers into cooperatives and FPOs and then try to link them to markets. And our markets also, we do a lot of innovations. I'll share some of the experiences we have in marketing. And a large part of CSA's work is also under around research and education. So we do both technical research in terms of whether a particular practice works or another particular practice work, or particular seed variety, how it performs in different conditions. Those kind of research also we do. We also work on socio-economic research as well. And we run educational courses. So both trainings and courses we do to build more resource persons. And to the organizations, we also do support services. So certification, extension, all FPO formation, business development, all these support services we do regularly, apart from the training programs. And the way we organize is, even FPOs, we organize them into clusters. So 10 to 15 FPOs in 1 or 2 districts together forms one cluster. And that cluster, so the focus is around that cluster. In the cluster, we develop the infrastructure, we develop the production plans, we do the market linkages, etc. So currently we have 5 such clusters in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Maharashtra together. So that's a broad approach we take. And when we are talking about these clusters, so each cluster has common facilities. So when we talk about food processing, when we talk about storage, etc., we have common facilities. We don't have every FPO having these kind of facilities, so it's a common one. And we also have interdependent activities which we built up, so that say one FPO may produce seed, another FPO may produce bio inputs, but overall there will be business between the FPOs also. So there's a lot of internal business also which happens between the FPOs. And we also believe federations of FPOs is required, because every FPO following with all licenses or doing every business activity individually will be very difficult. Say every month I have to file 65 GSTs, and then every month I have to file licenses, compliances for fertilizer and pesticide license, etc. So we felt that may not be viable. So federations are built, and then federations will do the job. So all licenses are taken by the federations. We have 2 such federations built. One is run by CSA directly, which is called Sahajaram Producer Company. There is another called Benishan. Benishan is Women Self-Help Groups Federation in Telangana, and it also has large number of membership, and then they do a good business. And then, so both federation model is what we are trying to work on. Coming to the organic and natural farming, see, one of the key challenges is how to understand the components, and then how do we manage these components is very, very important. Many times we get carried away by ideologies, but what we have seen from the experience is that there are 6 components which are very important we need to look at when we talk about organic crop production, organic or natural farming or regenerative agriculture, whatever we call it. But all these requires around 6 systems which we need to put in place. 6 systems which are part of the agroecological approaches in the field level itself. But these 6 systems can only sustain if there are support systems for this which can be established. So that's something which we need to understand if we are talking about an institutional structure for implementation. So when it comes to the agroecological systems, one is about water and moisture management. Second is adaptive cropping patterns. Third is the sustainable soil management. And fourth is the seed systems. Fifth is the non-pesticidal management, managing crops without using pesticides. And next is the integrating the livestock. So these are the 6 systems which we need to integrate at the field level. All of them should be based on the local conditions. So I'll take you through how we do all these one as part of our work. And this can only happen if there is a proper support system. So even Green Revolution or any other model of agriculture anywhere in the world didn't sustain without support systems. Even why only agriculture? Look at any other system. If there is no support services, it's not going to work. Say, if you have a mobile applications, mobile phones succeeded as much because you had stores which are selling them. There are service centers which are providing services. There are agencies which supply spare parts. Unless we establish this entire support systems, it is not going to work. So extension services, inputs, and then custom hiring services, unless we set up at the back end level, it's not going to function. Similarly, forward linkages in terms of value addition, marketing, financing, if you get these, unless we get these things, we are not able to move forward. So we need to look at how these two also can be brought in so that these 6 systems can be established. And we, as an organization, follow a gradual approach. So we leave the choice to the farmers from moving from conventional agriculture to good agricultural practices, non-pesticidal management to organic. And this transition strategy, every individual farmer can choose based on their own convenience. So we don't pressurize any farmer to adopt day one to go for pesticide-free production or organic production, but we tell them what is best. And choice is always left to the farmer. And each one of it has a different market benefit. So if it's a price advantage for good agricultural practices is about 5%, for organic production is about 15 to 20%. So depending on the benefit and cost, farmer will make a choice how to make the transition. And as you may be knowing, in India, we have 2 kinds of certifications, and certifications is mandatory. Either we can follow a PGS organic certification or we can follow India organic certification for the domestic market. For international market, we need to additionally have EU certificate. If you are selling in EU, if selling in US, we need a USDA certificate. So every country has its own standards and certification systems. Now it is mandatory to have the country certificate where we are exporting also. Earlier it was not mandatory. Now it is made mandatory. So we need to follow that. So that's about the transition strategy which we adopt. So coming to the practices, many of these practices you also must be following. So I'm not getting into too much in details. But what we try to do is we develop water budgeting at the village level and farmers level. And based on that, the choices are made. What cropping pattern can be followed? And we also do rainwater harvesting through gridlocks, trenches, ponds, etc. So all of them are put together. We have the plan of harvesting and making efficient use of water. And water recharging, injection bore wells, all these are done as part like any other organization working on natural resource management. One innovation we tried out and then it is getting traction and then going on to a large scale is the harvesting atmospheric moisture. When the temperature in the environment is high during the daytime and very low during the night time, so the diurnal variation is very high. There is a condensation which happens on the plant leaves early in the morning. So as the dew, and largely we can see across the country on crops like chana or crops like groundnut, horse gram. Early in the morning, if you see, there will be a lot of even on the wheat or safflower, you can see that. So there's a lot of dew which is deposited on the leaves, and then it will be falling as drops. So one experiment we tried out in Andhra Pradesh, along with the government of Andhra Pradesh, is having a large area with cover crops, with small leaved cover crops. So small leaved cover crops across the village, and maintain the cover crop around the year. So 365 days you have a green cover, and in that situation you can actually grow the crop without depending too much on the irrigation itself. So atmospheric humidity is sufficient to provide the kind of moisture which is required. And since there is a cover crop, it also helps in harvesting, it also helps in protection. So that we could, in a way, we could see. So this is one of the innovations tried from Andhra Pradesh government side, and then we are doing it on a large scale, harvesting atmospheric moisture. So these are some of the things. In addition, we do what we to improve use efficiency. We do follow the micro irrigation systems, and we monitor weather and give advisories to the farmers when to irrigate based on the soil moisture and then the plant stage. And so that's the advisory services we run. Coming to the soils, soil quality, if you want to improve, there are 4 important factors we need to look for. One is the tillage. So plowing actually damages the soil significantly, and particularly if you are following puddling also. In addition to plowing, if you are also following puddling, which is done by the cage fields, particularly the paddy fields or sugarcane fields, we do that. So puddling is the most damaging one. So what we suggest and what we do with farmers is to move away from puddling and more ploughing, reduce the ploughing, so you can follow and towards zero tillage. So that's the approach we take to minimize the tillage. That reduces the soil, because if we look at the topsoil, it takes nearly 500 years to form 1 inch of topsoil. But every year you lose more than a centimeter. So in 2 years, you lose what is formed in about 500 years. And all nutrients are present in available form in the topsoil, and then we are losing that. And data shows that nearly 16 metric tons of topsoil is lost from every 1 acre in this country. So at the national level, if that's the average, there could be many states where the loss is much higher. And particularly if you are working in hilly terrains where slope is more than 3%, the loss is much higher. And if you are leaving the soil uncovered. So that brings us to the question, how do you keep soil covered? Either through mulching or through cover crops. 365 days, your soil need to be covered. So that comes the second very important factor when we talk about soil management. Third, very important, is the soil is the source for resources. So you are producing and then you are taking away the crop. When you are taking away the crop, the nutrient balancing need to be done. So how do you put back the nutrients? How do you improve soil microorganisms so that they can decompose the organic matter? They can also make nutrients available from the mineral matter, and they can also act as immunity boosters in terms of cutting down and destroying the harmful bacteria and the fungi. So all that will happen if your soil organic matter, soil microbial population can increase. So we can use organic manures, we can use biostimulants, we can use botanicals, biofertilizers. So all these are possible options to do the soil amendments. Fourth, very important, is a cropping system. So what is your crop cycle? Many times we only talk about one crop. Can we talk about the cropping system so that there are multiple crops, intercrops, or more than two crops? And we also need to look at what are the crop rotation principles you are following. So 2-year cycle, 3-year cycle, 4-year cycle is what one need to look for. And in that transition process can be planned easily. So 365 days, we need to have soil cover. 365 days, we should have living roots in the soil. If these two can be managed, I think most of the problem with the soil can be dealt with, not so difficult, if the EC and pH can be corrected. And whenever we're talking about these things, one of the controversy which we often hear, and also better understanding which is required, is about the indigenous microbial preparations we are using. There are a lot of microbial solutions we use: Jivamrut, Panchagavya, Bijamrut, Amrit Gel, these kind of. How they are made and then what they are composed of, if you look for, they're all made of dung. That dung has microorganisms, the kind of microorganisms which are helping in cellulose and lignin solubilizing and nitrogen fixing, phosphorus solubilizing. So if you look at all these are the ones which are also available as a commercially available biofertilizers. So they're all present in the animal dung. And when the animal shits, it comes out. And then whatever can be cultured, you can culture and make into microbial solutions which can be sprayed. And in addition to the dung, soil also is one of the important source. So we add soil into this solution, and we add on nutrients. So it could be jaggery, or it could be sugarcane juice, it could be honey, or it could be fruits. But all of them supply sugars. There's also ghee, oil, or oil cake which supply fats. So once these are all added, it can be fermented into 3 to 4 days, and you get a solution. And in the solution, you find the microorganisms in a more enhanced density. Given that these solutions are done locally and then across the country, there are a number of variants of these preparations. We are trying to look at whether these variances of preparation will matter. And our experience shows that there's not much big variance between these products, because either Jivamrit or Panchakavya or Bijamrit, finally the microorganisms which are present in that are similar, because whatever is present in the dung, they are cultured and multiply. Second, we also try to look at whether the source of dung also matters. So whether if you have a cow or a buffalo, whether it will matter in terms of using the dung, or whether it is desi or crossbred, whether that will matter. So the research shows that not much variance exists between these two. And fresh dung microorganisms may vary, but when you talk about the cultured microorganisms from this dung, not much variance is there. So when you talk about organic farming, natural farming, regenerative agriculture, or any of these things, whatever animal is present at the farm level, you can use its dung and easily prepare these preparations, and you can use it. Very helpful, simple, useful to do. Don't get bogged down by the idea that only desi cow you require, all other things are not possible then. Another very important area is about composting. How do you decompose organic matter and make the organic matter, make the nutrients in organic matter available to the farm crop? So there are different models of organic production. The composting production. So this is the, this vermicompost. We also follow biogas. We also do NADF composting. And this is the black soldier flies. And this is windrow cultivation, where we get all the biomass into one place, and then we have a what you call as the turner, which helps to turn the compost easily. So this is a windrow composting. So we chip the hardwood and then we put it into the composting process. We also produce a lot of biomass in the farm itself. So our calculations shows that about 5 to 8 tons of biomass is required if you want to maintain soils healthy. And then if you want all the nutrient requirements of the crop should be met with per acre, approximately I'm talking about 5 to 8 tons of biomass is required. So either you can grow it as a cover crop, or you can grow it as the green manure and then you can add to it, or it can be, I would say, during the season, before the season, we can grow for 25 to 30 days as in the double per method, and then remove it and then apply to the farm. So there are different models, and what we have seen is that 2.73 to 5% of, so this is the lowest and this is the highest. So 2.73 to 2.54 to nearly 5.06 tons per acre of biomass could be produced. This is from our own farm where we tried last season. So it is quite possible to produce enough biomass from the soil, but you need to have a strategy in terms of when do you produce, how do you produce these things. Similarly, when we talk about cropping patterns, for small farmers, best is move towards more multi-layered, integrated farms so that they can increase the production intensity. So small farmers growing wheat or rice or cotton or any one crop will not help. So having multiple crops can give them income source around the year. So we need to make a plan in terms of how that can be designed. So it's more of a design question rather than actually technological question. So it's more about that. And then what we also try to do is we try to do crop sequestration, the carbon sequestration assessment, and link them to carbon market so that farmers can get additional income in this process. So one of the question which came up earlier also was about the vegetables. So what we do is we grow vegetables on bunds like this. So the idea is there are three key challenges in vegetable production. One is everybody sows at one time and then everybody harvests at one time. So there is a glut in the market. Second, aggregation is very difficult unless it is planned together, because if one farmer maintains one variety, second farmer does another variety, it will be very difficult. So unless you have a proper planning, it is very difficult. Third, unless you stagger it and then you have diverse vegetables, you cannot retail it. If you will end up only selling in bulk if you have only one or two vegetables. So what we tried is considering these three principles, we try to do 10 to 14 vegetables sown very intensively on beds. So these beds are made of 4 feet width and then 1 feet height. And between beds, there's 1.5 feet width. And these beds are never disturbed. So these beds are once made, they're continuing. And in the bed, we go on adding on the organic matter. The idea is we make it 50% organic matter so that it has two advantages. One, you don't need to worry about the weeds. You don't need to worry about the soil type also, because whatever be the bottom soil, this 1 feet layer of organic matter plus soil will help you to maintain the productivity. So we get nearly about 2.5 to 3,000 rupees per week from half an acre block. So you can imagine per month somewhere around 3 into 4, so around 10 to 12,000 rupees per month vegetables can be earned. And what we do is we plan it for 52 harvests. So in this 52 harvests, every week they earn at least 3 to 4,000 rupees kind of thing. And we also encourage them to sell directly. So various small vans are designed, and these vans take the farmer. These are all electrical small vehicles which will have farmers. So they take it and then they can sell. So the net incomes will never go below 2,000 rupees per half an acre. And that's advantage. So if you're talking about 2,000 rupees from half acre every week, so at least 4 weeks, if you look at, it will be around 4 into 2, 8,000 rupees per month, and 52 harvests. So you can imagine the kind of income they can get from this half acre. It's an intensive cultivation model, but every week you will have kind of thing. So it's not so much about technology, but it's more about organizing it, which is very important. And these beds are designed in such a way that you don't need to get onto the bed and you can manage it easily. And in this, we also tried with weed as a mulch, we tried with saris as a mulch. So different innovations also we tried on these things. Next comes the seed systems. Like I mentioned earlier, we do participatory varietal selection to identify the locally adapted varieties. It could be improved varieties or traditional varieties, but we select them, and then we select them in organic growing conditions so that they respond better. And we develop a catalog of these seeds with the two principles. One is what is the value of a crop for the farmer. So we have a value for cultivation set of data, and we also have a set of data for value for marketing. So what is the value for user, end user? So for example, if you're talking about cotton, surgical industry requires more of an absorbent cotton, whereas textile industry requires non-absorbent cotton. So long staple non-absorbent cotton is preferred by the textile industry, whereas short staple absorbent cotton is preferred by the surgical industry. So likewise, we look at rice varieties, fruits, vegetables, which are suitable for particular use. So based on that, we design the value for cultivation, and that catalog is available. So what we do is we produce foundation feed and supply to the farmers, and farmers cooperatives further multiply and then sell. So that's the system we follow. So here you can see here. So we take the improved varieties. We also take farmers varieties. We do participatory varietal selection, and we maintain the parental lines here. We maintain the parental lines. We are setting up. We have a seed library where seeds are categorized based on various parameters, and we have an entire catalog developed. So we also multiply foundation seed, and this foundation seed is supplied to the seed entrepreneurs in the FPOs, and they in turn produce and then supply to the FPOs, and sale is done with them. And coming to the pest management, efficiency of pest management without using weeds, chemicals, you can only do if you have a good surveillance system. So surveillance using traps. So we developed a mechanism of surveillance at the farm level, at the village level, where you can actually have the data managed and then develop pest calendar. You'll know which week you may have which pest, and when it is juxtaposed with weather conditions, you will know based on weather conditions and crop status when what pest is going to come. So we develop such pest calendars at a cluster level. So all our cooperatives follow this surveillance system. So based on which weekly advisories are given to the farmer. And if the pest preventive care works well, you don't need to spray at all. And if it is required to spray, then you have a number of botanicals which are available or microbials which are available, which you can spray. So integrating livestock is very important to agriculture because it provides you additional 20%, 25% income. Also, in terms of its livestock is major recycling system in agriculture. They digest the biomass and make it available to the crops to pick up. So while the microorganisms are present in the soil, the animals, the bigger animals also help in digestion. I think that is something which is important. Decomposition happens at both ends, so we need to work on it. Coming to the extension system, well, these are the components. How do we work on extension system? So like I mentioned, we have a surveillance system which is managed by a community resource person. So we have community resource persons, either as Krishi Sakhi or CRP. So they do the surveillance and advisory services and then link to the farmer. So they provide this information through WhatsApp messages. So we have WhatsApp messages which are sent. And we have extension team at the hub level. And then, so hub is about 10 to 15 FPOs. And we also have a central technical support team which advises these farmers based on the data which is received. So this data is received and immediately our team will write an advisory and that advisory goes to all the farmers. So we also help CRPs to write the advisories to voice out. So we also send a voice message for them. And farmers' data is managed. So the same farmers' data is managed for PGS certification, ecosystem services, market linkages. So we have an ERP system which manages this entire data. And based on the farmers' experiences, we review and then push that into the data system where based on which we adopt what practices are working, what practices are not working, in what condition, what practices are working. And from that, we produce books and a lot of knowledge synthesis happens around these things. This is our extension model. In terms of institutionalizing this extension model, we started it as a farmer service center. So this farmer service center aggregates all services, both from internally from CSA team and also from others. It aggregates everything and then does one-stop solution for farmers, both for extension and advisory services and also business development services. So post-harvest, what they do, where do they sell, what quality they need to have, where they can bargain. So all that is part of this business development services. So these two services also becomes integral part of the farmer service center. So this farmer service center provides 6 different kinds of services to the farmer. It's about extension and advisory services, training, etc. It also works on access to loans. It provides input sales. It provides customizing services. It does market linkages and also access to alternatives, entitlements basically. So all this is done. And the entire data is centrally managed. So we have a online platform which manages all these data. And 2008, we realized the marketing is also very important. Unless we work on it, it's not going to work. So we created a consumer cooperative which sells farmers produce directly to the farmers. So that's something we started in 2009 and then continuing with that. And in the whole market, important is 2 aspects. One, how do you create value so that the price can go up? And in that, how much farmer can get as a share? If you are selling as a raw material, there won't be any value surplus which can be created. If you are not doing that, farmer's share will be very low. And just to understand the market, about 55 lakh crore is the total grocery market in India, in which nearly 91% is dominated by traditional retail. So targeting them will become much easier, or seeing them as allies or replacing them, rather than looking at organized retail as a partners, because organized retail charges more. They charge nearly 35 to 40%. Even e-retailing also does the same thing. So we try to look at traditional retailing. How do we deal with that? How do we sell with that? So we also have farmers cooperatives setting up their own stores and sell directly. And another important area we also have realized is that 35 to 40% of the food sold in the market is bulk consumers. So it could be Harika, hotels, restaurants, and catering services. It could be temples. It could be schools and offices. So we also target them. So we supply in bulk to them so that we don't need to invest on packing, GST, etc. And in India, interestingly, organic market is growing significantly compared to the entire world. In the entire world, it is growing at 10%, and India is growing at around 28%. Organic market is growing around 28%. And very interesting again here is while 2000 crore is the organized retail sector into organic, and nearly 1800 crores is the farmers market where farmers sell directly. So this area is also another thing which is important. So with that background, what we try to do is we do direct sales. So farmers cooperatives sell directly. These are some of the stores. So this is one of the store where in Karnataka we are selling it for over 10 years. So this store sells every product which is produced by the farmers. We also have set up a market platform for farmers, a Privo Hub, where APOs or farmer groups can put in their whatever produce they have. So we'll be connecting to the buyers as well. And we also do a quality assurance and traceability and engage consumers. So engaging with consumers is something which is very important to explain them to make right choices. So we do that and supply the products. As you know, in India, we have two kinds of certifications, but mandatory, either of it is mandatory, PGS or organic. And PGS is good for domestic market because it's a smaller group, easy to comply with. External certification, third party certification, as they're called, they are largely export oriented. And fruits and vegetables, what we do is we collect the vegetables and grade them. And when we are grading them, B grade, C grade, D grade, we go for processing. So it goes for drying or pickling. So pulping and drying is what we do. And these are sold retail. So we supply to the retail markets directly. These are some of the processing hubs, like I mentioned, we have in the regional areas. We developed a lot of products. So internally and then externally, we developed a lot of products. Now, many of the women's self-help groups are using these products to make their own. These are the stores where we help farmers to sell their produce directly. These are all owned by Farmer Cooperative Federation. And this is something which would be interesting for you. Probably you also might be doing. This is a biolab where we maintain the inoculums, mother cultures, and we supply them to the entrepreneurs. So these are supplied to the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, they in turn multiply and then sell. So each one may be around 15-20 lakhs annual sales, and we are now planning to take it to around 50 lakhs per annum kind of sales, each of these bioresource center. And around 15-20 bioresource centers are set up, supported by a lab where mother cultures are managed and supplied. So that's the business model we try to adopt. And if you look at around 8 biofertilizers cultures are available, including in addition to waste decomposer. So if you put them together, they are more or less the same ones which are present in the Jivamrut or Panchagavya. So Jivamrut Panchagavya also has all these so if farmers can make on their own, they can always make. So there are simple tools developed if you can for steering, etc. So and small scale production level systems, big scale. So you can also make Jivamrut at different levels. Alternatively, there are also mother cultures which are available, which are in pure form, which can be also multiplied by the entrepreneurs and supply. So these two together probably will help the farmers to reduce their dependency on fertilizers, and also shifting towards organic natural farming becomes easier. So we also do a soil test based transition strategies. So we do the entire analysis of soils, and then we suggest what can be done so that the pH can be corrected, EC can be corrected, and also in terms of organic carbon and other nutrients present, and then how nutrient enhancement can happen, by what kind of biomass is required to be added, what biofertilizers are required, so and what cropping patterns are suitable. So all these are given as an advisory service to the farmers. So we maintain this data system. We also have seed production system where earlier, like I mentioned, these are the seed processing facilities which are owned by the farmers. So we not only encourage diversity, but we also have some products developed out of it. So it's not just selling rice, but rice atta and then various ready-to-eat products out of rice we do. Similarly, we do with millets. So similarly, we do with fruits and vegetables as well. So creating value for diversity is also very, very important. And I mentioned we are also a PGS Regional Council supporting farmers on PGS organic certification. And we have a lot of digital tools which you can use. Say Pestoscope is an application which can help you with pest management. So you can identify the pest and then manage it organically. Or if you have a doubt, you can send us a picture. We can get back to you as the solution. And we have FarmScope is not yet released. It will be based on the soil type, what kind of cropping patterns are possible will be suggested. And it is still under built. But eKrishi is available. You can check ekrishi.in where you can get all the lessons, whichever we teach. So there are courses which you can run on your own, or you can join for courses where teachers can teach you. And we also have an impact assessment tool called DISA. We have a helpline called Kisan Mitra. EpiHub is a platform for selling the market ready products. And coming towards the end, there are two more important areas we need to understand. One is the carbon financing. So there's a lot of buzz going around carbon credits. So every ton of carbon equivalent emissions which are reduced in production or additional unit of carbon which is sequestrated either in the soil or tree can be quantified and it can be paid. So that's what is the carbon financing about. And to give you an understanding about carbon credits, say rice production, conventional rice production has nearly 10 tons of emissions annually. So if you cannot reduce it 100%, can we reduce it by 50%? And that 50% credits can be quantified and then we can get payments done for that. Similarly, there are adaptation credits which are also given where you train people to adapt to the changing scenarios. That also is something which is possible. Currently, there are voluntary markets where you can sell these credits and then get payment out of it. And there is also compliance market which is growing, which is run by the government. So Government of India started two programs. One is called PM PRADAN, where they are trying to assess the reduced fertilizer used by the state and pay back the 50% of the subsidy involved. So for example, every ton of nitrogenous fertilizer sold in any of the parts of the country, each one is highly subsidized. Around 25,000 rupees is per ton subsidy. And whereas the farmers will pay only around 2,000 rupees per quintal. No, per bag is around 250 rupees. So per 10 quintals, which is about 1 ton, they pay around 2,000 rupees. Whereas government subsidy is nearly about 25,000 rupees per every ton. So government now decided under PM PRADAN, if the state reduces fertilizer use, 50% of it can be passed on to the state. So that is some game-changing innovation which is coming up. Another is the carbon credits where we can quantify the credits and then pay to the farmers. And actually, the world-renowned scientist Ratan Lal, who is an agronomist at Ohio University, he stated 2%, if the 2% soil organic carbon can be increased across the world, 100% of the greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere can be taken away. 100%, just by increasing by 2%. So you can imagine what is the great scope. Soil is has the greatest potential for carbon sequestration. So we did some studies using satellite maps as well as the study testing and all. We are developing standard protocols. And for every 0.1% increase in soil organic carbon, it leads to a sequestration of 3%, 3 tons of carbon dioxide. So that is equal to 3 credits. And today, carbon credits are traded at around $10 per credit. So we can look at how that can be evolved. And similarly, on the agroforestry, so if there is a 1 ton of growth which a tree shows in a year, a group of trees in a farm, so that can also be sequestrated, that also can be counted and then paid for. And this is the research center we are setting up near Vijayawada. This is already ready, and then we are already started courses. So October onwards, there are training courses on organic production, pest management, seed production, and vegetable cultivation, and many others. So we are doing these courses at this center. This is a 38 acres campus in which 2 acres is for construction and 36 acres we have a farm. And this farm has various models, whether it is about 5-layer model, 2-layer model, whether it is about dry seed rice, or whether we talk about cotton, multiple crops, all are available in one place where one can see and learn. We also have labs for testing soil, seeds, pesticides, etc. We also run a seed library where several traditional varieties are in display, and also we multiply and then supply to the others. So these courses are also, we are developing new courses in partnership with various organizations. So this is the center which is ready, and then just launching the courses from October onwards. This is the farm. So all the models can be seen, and we also have a nursery over there. So to sum up, this is what CSA does, and then we also provide support services to organizations. So in transition to organic and natural farming, we do capacity building and handholding support. So we do trainings for master trainers, we do trainings for the community resource persons. We also developed farmer field school module, and then we do training on that. And then we also train on innovations like Kalpataru model. I explained about vegetables, multiple cropping patterns, and then we also sustainable rice and sustainable cotton production. So we do separate training programs on these things. And we also help in setting up local surveillance system based advisory services, both on weather and pest and diseases. We do help in setting up diagnostic services for soil, water, pesticide residue testing. We also have mobile applications which are free to use. And we also do detailed project reports for organic transition. We did it for Jamanlal Bajaj Foundation, we did it for Samunati Foundation, and many others. So on a large scale, if the transitions have to happen, so what are the structures and what are the systems, what are the technologies which can be followed based on the local soil conditions, local weather conditions, is what we try to do. And then we also try and link up to the ecosystem services and carbon financing. And we do training on farmer producer organizations and business development, particularly who are into organic production. So we link them to markets, and we create forward and backward linkages. We do certification, and so currently we are innovating, we are doing the entire certification for supplying natural farming produce to the Tirupati temple. So nearly 30,000 tons is supplied from the farmers directly to the temple. So Tirupati temple going organic. So that support also we are doing. So broadly, these are all the support services we provide. Yeah. So thank you very much. I stop here, and then I'll be open for discussion of any of the questions you have.
Yeah.
These are my contacts and then the websites. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for such a comprehensive presentation encompassing all the aspects of organic farming, and it was very informative and insightful for me. So the session is open for question and answer session. Hopefully, many of the questions are covered during the presentation. Still, after the presentation, if anybody want to have any clarification, query.
Yeah, either you can ask or you can put it into the chat box.
Yeah, I have asked the same in the chat box.
Thank you very much, sir, for the comprehensive sharing about your journey. The journey started in 2004 with a non-pesticide village. And I would like to know what were the initial challenges you faced while pursuing this natural farming, and what are the strategies that you have followed, because market has a important force, and countering that forces and scaling up it into a large scale in Andhra Pradesh. So we would like to hear your experiences of those challenges, and how do you have overcome from that challenges to pursue it in a scale?
Yeah. So initially, at the farmers level, the challenges are about convincing them. Farmers might have tried different practices, so they have a lot of questions in terms of apprehensions in terms of making the transition. So having a proper dialogue with them is very important. So what we do is, in every new village where we go, we do that dialogue first. We understand what are the problems, and then based on the problems, we try to explain how they can be dealt with. And we also take them to farmers who are already adopting that, so that it becomes more convincing. And we also have a lot of resource material, films produced around these things. This is one area. Second, we also write regularly in media, so that there's also buzz created around these things. A lot of media stories comes up regularly. So in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, a day will not pass without mentioning or referring to work which we are doing. So that also creates a kind of confidence in the farmers that whatever we are suggesting works. So from our side, we keep an internal control where we only talk about practices which work. So if there is a problem, we clearly talk about the problems also, so that farmers, that honesty helps the farmers to build confidence on us. So we certainly follow that. And accurate suggestions which we provide help farmers to make the transitions easily. From the industry, yes, there are issues. And whenever we talk about the problems with pesticides, obviously there will be backlash from the industry. But what we try to do is, if you are talking about any problem with pesticides, we'll be scientifically accurate. Don't make wrong claims. If you are making right claims, even if they want to dispute, if they try, and then they will try. So say in the last 20 years, industry tried many times to disprove many of our claims. If we are saying this is organic, or if we are saying the village has become pesticide free, they went and then did their independent studies, but they couldn't prove it wrong. So I think being honest in terms of making claims is very, very critical at the grassroots level. At the top level, one of the things we try to do is we try to work with the governments. At the same time, we also keep distances wherever we need to keep distances with the government also. So whenever there is a problem with the government also, we will be raising that. So idea is we maintain our identity and then honesty, so that the people who need to translate will trust us. I think that's what is the core approach we take.
Okay. We are requesting others to ask you questions. Please unmute your device and ask your question.
Thank you, Dr. Ramu. As my name is Surjit, I'm really happy to listen your past experiences and knowledge around this natural farming. So I just wanted to know that you hope you know about also PRADAN also working on this
I do.
regenerative agriculture. We're also trying to promote in a scale. So my just wanted to know from your experiences, what are the policy level changes in the government actually you could see in your state to scale up the natural farming?
Okay. See, 2-3 important things are required. One, government should invest in terms of scaling up in terms of providing the extension services. Without that, it is not going to work. Proper training programs to the farmers, and then whenever there is a problem, farmers should know how to solve the problem. So there should be some backup support, handholding support, which should be provided. So we use community resource persons. So the payment for all these is a cost, right? So that cost actually is borne by the state government. So Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, very initially when they are united, has invested a lot on this. So the NPM program, which we started 20 years back, government have invested annually about 44 crores. After that, when the state separated, Andhra Pradesh continued to invest on natural farming. Today, Andhra Pradesh has nearly about 6 lakh acres under the natural farming, and then that also came up from investment made by the state government on setting up the extension system. So a strong extension system is something which is very, very critical. Second, in terms of innovations, trying out innovations in terms of, say, bioresource centers where bio enterprises can be encouraged to produce and supply bio inputs, and also seed entrepreneurs who produce seed and supply. So, and FPOs where they procure and then supply. So these are some of the innovations we tried out. So investments around those things. Third, very interesting and important thing which Andhra Pradesh government tried out is linking to the temples. So when we made an analysis that 30-40% of the food is also bulk consumed, so instead of getting into 1 kg packets and then finding 100 consumers, can we find someone who can buy 100 kgs one time? So we found schools, colleges, we found the temples are the good source. So we tried with the Tirupati temple, which is the biggest temple in Andhra Pradesh, not only in Andhra Pradesh, but in the country. And it buys a lot of food. It buys nearly about 2 lakh tons every year. And so what we tried to target with them, and then this year, we are able to supply about 30,000 tons. And we are trying to supply those things. So like that. So those innovations are invested by the government. And I would say if this has to sustain on a large scale, we also need to have farmers' support also should come in. See, currently, I spoke only about the project level support, but farmers level support. So, for example, if I'm buying chemical fertilizers, on every bag of urea, I have 2,500 rupees subsidy. I'm paying only 250 rupees, but I'm getting 2,500 rupees subsidy. But if I'm making my own organic manure, I'm not getting anything, right? So equivalent support coming to farmer will help. So we are trying this ecosystem services compilation and then supporting from that slide. So if I'm reducing fertilizer use, if I'm reducing chemical use, what would be my benefit? So that is also something we are trying out. If this works out, I think it will be good. मैं थोड़ा हिंदी में भी बात करने के लिए कोशिश करूंगा. मेरा हिंदी उतना अच्छा नहीं है. Somebody was asking about हिंदी, but मैं जरूर अगर आप कोई प्रश्न है तो हिंदी में मैं बोलने के लिए कोशिश कर सकता हूँ, और कुछ प्रश्न का समाधान भी मैं हिंदी में बोलने के लिए कोशिश करता हूँ.
Thank you, Dr. Ramu.
Okay. I have a question. Like through your presentation, I got to know about the institutional mechanism that your organization have been following to reach out to successful like FPO cooperatives, federation of FPOs. I just wanted to know more about the operational modalities or mechanisms that we are following for this capacity building and strengthening of such collectives that are led by women. So I just wanted to know more about it.
Okay, so 2017 we developed a process called as a Kisan Business School. So this is like the farmer field school model, helps farmers to participatory learning of transition towards ecological approaches. So जैसे खेत में काम करते करते सीख जाते हैं ये ऑर्गेनिक प्रैक्टिसेस को फार्मर फील्ड स्कूल्स में, वैसा बिजनेस को भी समझाने के लिए हमें किसान बिजनेस स्कूल का एक मॉडल निकाला. इसमें 15 दिन का सेशंस होगा. ये 15 दिन एक पूरा सीजन में स्प्रेड आउट 15 डेज है. तो उसमें हम ये सिखाते हैं कि बिजनेस प्लान कैसे करना, उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कैसे करना, और प्रोक्योरमेंट कैसे करना, क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स कैसे करना, कैसे मार्केट में करना. तो ये पूरा एक सीजन में हम सिखाते हैं. इट्स नॉट जस्ट क्लासरूम ट्रेनिंग बट प्रैक्टिकल ट्रेनिंग. क्लासरूम में सीखने के बाद वो गांव में जाके इंप्लीमेंट भी करते हैं और फिर वापस आके फिर सीखते हैं. तो ऐसा एक मॉडल हमने बनाया, और that's a training module we have for the training the board members. Similarly, we have different training modules developed for various things.
Maybe some related queries. How is your organizational structure? So you have shared 3-4 organizations, that is the CSA and is the federations of
Sahajaram,
FPOs, say federation of SUs. But your core actually as an organizations, what levels of so-called staffs are there, vis-a-vis what are the large number of cadres probably you may have. So this is one.
Okay.
The other part is I just want to know some more clarity. You do you focus both on women, men as a farmer, or do you have only focus on women? And third is, how does women actually do participate in this overall organic journey?
Okay. See, as an organizational structure, CSA and Sahajaram are independent organizations. Sahajaram Producer Company is a farmer cooperative. It has members, the entire board members are from the field, are the FPOs. Each FPO has a nomination, and so it's a federation of farmers cooperatives. So each FPO has a CEO, and between two FPOs, we have a shared accountant also, accountant and MIS management person. So that's the structure of the Sahajaram Producer Company. And it has a retail wing, which operates independently. And then we also have the producer company manages the entire data in terms of production, marketing, financing, etc. Whereas CSA is a not-for-profit organization, and CSA is registered as a trust, and I'm the executive director. And then we have different teams which works on agroecology, FPOs and business development, and research and policy. So these are the three different teams we have. And we also have support services like PGS certification, this education, etc. And under that, we started this Academy on Agroecology. So the Academy is a new entity which has come up. It is not yet registered, but it is an independent organization we are planning to promote as a research and education center. So it is now part of CSA itself, but gradually we'll be making it into an independent organization. So that's the structure. And large part of the staff we have at the field level in the program implementation side. So we are also a resource organization for many. So the people who work as resource persons for supporting other organizations, they are either regionally placed or at the centrally placed. But large part of the people are also at the cluster level. So basically, like I mentioned, 13 to 15 FPOs are one cluster. So for every cluster, we have few agronomists, few business development people, few finance people together. So that's a team we have.
Okay. And this men and women.
Men and women. See, we take household as a unit and household income as a unit. So we don't look at only men and women, but we prioritize working with women. So we have a policy to have at least 30% women participating in the decision making, and then institutions as well. And we also look at some additional activities with women in terms of nutrition security, those kind of things, livelihoods, additional livelihoods. And particularly if there is single women, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana has the largest problem of single women also. We also focus on that. But family is a focus for us. Household is the focus. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir, good afternoon. While listening you, I came to know that there are certain DRCs or some person who are making these bio inputs and they are supplying to the farmers. So basically, my question is, sir, is there any channel conflict? I mean, how all these person who are making these bio inputs and supplying are coming under the APO code? Why are not they? I mean, is there any incident like they are selling their produce directly to the farmer, not I mean, is there any sharing of profit between the FPO and the person who is making these bio inputs? Is there any kind of arrangements? I am interested to know that.
Okay, so see, currently what we do is there's a farmer service center which sells the inputs. So when the farmer service center sells inputs, all the inputs which are required at the village level, we make an estimation. And in that, some may come from other cooperatives or other local entrepreneurs. Some we may have to buy from outside. तो बाहर से आता है, उसमें कुछ परसेंटेज मार्जिन होगा. So locally production आता है, उसमें भी कुछ थोड़ा सा परसेंट होगा. So it could be 5%, 3%, 4% kind of thing for selling. Whereas the bioresource centers which produces, they will also add those things as those costs, because FPO creates market for their products. So they also calculate those things when they are when they're putting the price for the product. So for example, our estimation is that one bioresource center will sell around 15 to 20 lakh rupees per annum. So 15 to 20 lakh rupees per annum if they're selling, they give about 5 to 10% depending on the product as a margin to the FPO for selling them, providing advisory services, all that. And this bioresource center also can act as a farmer service center. If somebody comes there and directly buys, they can also sell. So both ways, FPO benefits and also the resource center also benefits. The FPO, in addition to taking from the bioresource centers, it also takes from outside and then sell.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
ये एक डायमेंशन में मैं जानना चाहता हूँ. ये जो आपका इसका भी पीपीटी का फर्स्ट पेज में भी जो आपका नाम इस तरीके का केयर फॉर दोज हु फीड द नेशन मीन्स डेफिनेटली द फार्मर्स इज द फोकस एंड फार्मर्स प्रॉस्पेरिटी. एंड ये जो सेफ फूड एक तरह से आपने बाय नेचुरल फार्मिंग सेफ फूड प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं, तो इसका मैंने एक न्यूट्रिशनल इम्पैक्ट on the household or the consumers, एक तो एक्सपेक्टेड है कि ये होता होगा या हो रहा होगा जरूर, क्योंकि उसका रिवर्स हम लोग जानते हैं कि because of this unsafe food there are a lot of issues. So because of this safe foods, how the nutritional issues and other maybe health issues have been addressed, इसका कोई जरूर आपके पास होगा तजुर्बा या कोई some studies or something. So can you elaborate a little more on that?
So इसका I think there are two dimensions to the problem which you need to understand. इसमें एक है जो सॉइल्स में न्यूट्रिएंट डेफिशिएंसीज है, जिसमें जो फसल उगाएगा हम उसमें भी न्यूट्रिएंट डेफिशिएंसी होगा. ये समझ लीजिए एक सॉइल में आयरन और जिंक डेफिशिएंसी है, तो उसमें जो भी चावल हम उगाते हैं उसमें आयरन और जिंक का डेफिशिएंसी होगा. वही सॉइल में अगर आप स्पिनच पालक उगा रही है, पालक में भी आयरन और जिंक डेफिशिएंसी होगा. पालक ऐसा नहीं है कि हवा से जिंक या आयरन बना सकते. हम सोचते हैं कि पालक में आयरन ज्यादा होगा खाने के लिए, बट वो सॉइल में अगर आयरन नहीं है तो पालक में भी आयरन नहीं होगा. और जहां आयरन पालक में नहीं है तो जो पालक खाने से भी उसको आयरन आने वाला नहीं है. तो when we look at actually the major micronutrient deficiencies humans face, they come from two important areas. One, soil are deficient, so crops are deficient, food is deficient, so people are also deficient. ये एक direct link है. दूसरा, individuals में, consumers में अगर एक न्यूट्रिएंट नहीं है तो दूसरा न्यूट्रिएंट का अपटेक भी कम होगा,
ओके।
या आपका से आपका एसिडिटी बढ़ गया तो आपका न्यूट्रिएंट लेना भी कम हो जाता है ना, वैसा। तो ये सॉइल्स में भी होता है, फसल में भी होता है, फूड में होता है और पीपल में भी होता है। समझ लीजिए अगर सॉइल्स में एसिडिटी ज्यादा है, फसल अगर सॉइल में न्यूट्रिएंट है तो भी फसल नहीं ले सकते। अगर सॉइल है बट फसल नहीं ले रही है और फसल में नहीं है तो वो खाने से भी कोई न्यूट्रिएंट मिलने वाला नहीं, तो ये प्रॉब्लम है। तो इसलिए हम जहां जहां हम काम करते हैं ये न्यूट्रिशनल काउंसलिंग भी करते हैं, स्कूल किड्स से एंगेज करते हैं, वुमेन को एंगेज करते हैं। सो वी डू ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम फॉर देम, इसको कैसे समझना है और उसमें कैसे करना। एंड वी आल्सो प्रोड्यूस रिपोर्ट्स ऑन दिस। तो ये हम एक पेपर पब्लिश किया 2 साल पहले। तो नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ न्यूट्रिशन हैदराबाद ने 30 साल के 30 साल पहले एक बार पब्लिश किया था, इंडिया में न्यूट्रिएंट प्रोफाइलिंग कैसे है, कौन सा फसल में क्या क्या न्यूट्रिएंट्स है। अगर आप चावल खा रहे हैं तो चावल में क्या क्या न्यूट्रिएंट्स है, या आप रेडिश खा रहे हैं तो उसमें क्या क्या, मूली में क्या क्या न्यूट्रिएंट्स है, वैसा। और 97 में और एक बार पब्लिश किया, 97 में 2087 में एक बार किया, 2017 में एक बार किया। हमने ये दोनों लेके 30 साल में क्या क्या फर्क आया इंडियन फूड्स में न्यूट्रिएंट डेफिशिएंसीज, वो एक बार इकट्ठा करके हम एक पब्लिकेशन भी निकाला। तो अगर आप पब्लिकेशन देखा तो आपको क्लियरली समझ में आएगा ये 30 साल में बहुत सारे फूड में जो न्यूट्रिएंट्स हम सोचते हैं न्यूट्रिएंट्स है वो नहीं है, और इसलिए नहीं है कि सॉइल में नहीं है। सो एक ये ऐसा एक रिपोर्ट हमने बनाया। दूसरा जब हम फार्मर्स को न्यूट्रिएंट काउंसलिंग करते हैं और विलेज में एक किचन गार्डन्स या न्यूट्रिशनल गार्डन्स प्रमोट करते हैं, हम 3 पैरामीटर्स हम मॉनिटर भी करते हैं वुमेन को। वेट, वेट, आयरन, दिस हीमोग्लोबिन and mid-arm length. So ये 3 are the indicators we identified can indicate the health of the people. So we track them.
Okay.
So
okay.
likewise.
So basically by doing so, you are able to see that because of this natural farming, there has been probably great shift and move towards better.
And it also is on the production, also on the cooking. So you also work on recipes, trainings on that. So all those things. So it's a range of interventions which will help. So when we started FPOs, the idea of FPO is not just about markets, but FPO should become an integral part of all activities people do. So it could be accessing entitlements, it could be about nutritional counseling, so everything. So around that is what we are trying to build an FPO. It's not just, so they should see FPO as their future rather than looking at only as a business service agency. Yeah, that was the idea.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
I have a question like regarding the marketing of the output product. Once you have also said in the presentation like you have some outlets and farmers also directly selling their products. And I just want to know if the production is in bulk. So the farmers may might go to the mandi, some kind of thing. So in that case, are they getting some additional price or premium price?
See, in the open market, there is no additional premium prices available at all. Only if you are able to aggregate and then sell to someone, then only you can get. And this is either we talk about conventional products or whether we talk about organic products, it's the same story. Unless we aggregate and then do some kind of value addition, getting better prices is not possible at all. So what we do is we help them to link to buyers, and we also do some value addition and sell. Like I mentioned, we also are selling to Tirupati temple. So we are trying to link to the Tirupati temple. So we enable several lines of markets, several several lines and several players. So then only it works. Normally, if you're selling in retail, farmers may get around 20-25% better price. Otherwise, it may be about 10 to 15% better price. That's what our average data shows.
Sir, in the similar line, actually, I have read in somewhere in the internet that it was written that 10 to 15% premium price will touch the break even between organic farming and conventional farming. So that's indicating that about the productivity. So is there any difference between productivity in conventional and organic farming?
See, our that's what so we manage on the production level well. So our major strength lies on the production side. So we actually design practices so well that the productivity variance is very low. So it could be less than 5%. So productivity variance will not be more than 5%, whereas cost reduction would be at least 10 to 15%. And then productivity would be less than 5%, and then product cost reduction is 10%, and then price would be 10 to 15%. So it should be a good benefit to the farmers. Even if they sell at the market price, still it is not loss making. It will be better for the farmer. So managing productivity is very important. Productivity and cost, these two are interdependent factors. So per unit cost, we need to manage well. So if I'm producing a quintal of rice, it should be affordable for me to sell. So that's where we should work on. So we try to work on that cost reduction and the yield management.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have another question. If can you please give an example of FPO, basically, which is dealing with, I mean, all the FPO are, as explained by you, might be dealing with the produce, the natural farming produces, I mean, input or output linkage.
Okay. So
is there, I mean, sir, I just wanted to know about the annual turnover, the
see, Sahajaram Producer Company is a FPO. Its annual turnover is around 2 crores, and it does input market as well as it does output market. And this 2 crores is output market basically. It will be around another 50 lakhs to 1 crore would be the input market. So largely it is the output market, and output market also is the retail market. It also does bulk sales, but bulk sales are largely done to the member FPOs, so it provides as a service. So FPOs sell directly, individual FPOs, so that could be around 7-8 crores if they do. So it's a individual FPOs will do, but bulk retail sales are done by the Sahajaram Producer Company. It will be around 2 crores. And retail market, if you are getting into retail market, major constraint is the working capital, because at the time of harvest you need to hold the produce, and you can only sell every month. So if you have to sell every month, then you need to hold the produce. So that's a very expensive process. So we are unable to scale up because of that. So we are trying different models of financing where we can raise finances for holding the produce at the cooperative level. But if you can hold the produce, you can sell in retail, and then there is a good market for retailing. Otherwise, we have to sell off in the bulk market.
Little bit of for clarity, when you are saying FPO, these are registered under, I think, self-help cooperative backed, or
no, we have both. We have producer cooperative, which are registered under Max Societies Act. You know, in Andhra Pradesh, we have this very progressive Max Act. So we do under Max Act. We also do on producer companies also. So we have about nearly, I would say 48 or so as a producer companies, and rest are all cooperatives which are registered earlier. Yeah.
And this Sahaj is a federation.
Producer company. It's a federation. of only organic farmers. Federation only organic farmers. Currently, they are doing only organic retail.
Okay. Okay. Maybe others can ask. In between, I have a queries. It's somewhere in the
Please.
presentations you said that black soldier fly.
Yeah.
So black soldier flies are basically for the protein source of animal or birds.
Animal, birds, etc. But it's also a good source of composting. So at your home, whenever you are cutting your vegetables, if you put it into a small dabba and then keep it aside, it starts decomposing, right? So that decomposition happens because of the black soldier flies.
So you have
very easy to.
You have these processes standardized. Actually, we want to promote this for our backyard poultry promotions program.
Can be done. So both. So it can contribute both ways. So you can have composting and you can also do this together.
Okay, so we'll be in touch further to know this maybe practices in detail. Yeah. बाकी कोई भी पूछ सकते हैं टाइम और भी है ना, थोड़ा स्पीड करिए जो भी जिसका पूछना है, अदरवाइज है ना, so we may wind up also. ये एक तो आई एम जस्ट रिफ्लेक्टिंग कि आपने बीच बीच में बोला कि इट इज नॉट सो मच अबाउट द टेक्नोलॉजी बट द डिजाइन and its implementation. ये दो बार and it was very striking also that how meticulously things are being planned and being designed, and farmers are getting the supports rather than the technology itself. So this is a different kind of understanding.
Organically doubling of farmers' income,
हाँ को पचार
good afternoon, sir. Sir, actually, I wanted to ask you one thing. Actually, as far as efficient concern, we are here into to doubling income of the farmers. But the same thing we want to do so organically. So, is there any methods we can minimize the investment of the farmers and maximize the profit through organically, sir?
See, to double the farmers' income, two important things we need to look at is what is the current income sources, right? So, like I mentioned very initially, see, the farmers' income today comes from 4 different sources. One is the crop production. कितना क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन में उनको नेट इनकम आ रही है, मतलब कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हैं, कितना रिटर्न आ रही है क्रॉप प्रोडक्शन में. दूसरा होगा लाइफ स्टॉक, कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रही है और कितना आ रही है लाइफ स्टॉक और अलाइड एक्टिविटीज में. तीसरा वेज लेबर, तो कुछ लोग बाकी जगह पे जाके बाकी किसानों के साथ काम करते हैं, तो वहां कितना आता है. फोर्थ इज अ फैमिली, I would say cost occupations which people used to do. Some do, some may not do. So that's another fourth one. So together is what is the income today. So if you look at that income sources, we also need to look at plan at a household level. किसमें आप improve कर सकते हैं? Because if your land is limited, if you have only half-acre land, you cannot increase on land productivity, right? Productivity can be increased by maximum 10%. Or prices can be increased maximum by 15%. Beyond that, you cannot do anything. So we need to look at दूसरा income क्या आप increase कर सकते हैं. तो उसके लिए हमने एक livelihood analysis और उसके आधार पर प्लानिंग करने के लिए एक methodology develop किया. उसमें we assess 5 different resources for a family. Every family we look at उनका infrastructure क्या है, उसका household skill set या फैमिली ऑक्यूपेशंस कुछ है क्या. तीसरा, उनके पास फाइनेंशियल एक्सेस क्या है, उनका पीपल कितने हैं घर पे. बिकॉज Many times they say if you are only wife and husband, you cannot have 4 different income so activities can be taken up. So uske aadhar par we try to create a livelihood plan for household. So that's a plan we do, and then it works out well. So you can look at, say, 30% income can come from livestock, or 40% income come from additional income sources where they take up additional activities. ऐसा plan करना पड़ेगा.
Yeah, Pranaya, please unmute your device and ask your question.
हाँ, एक प्रश्न यहाँ है चैट बॉक्स में पेस्ट अटैक का. ये समझना है, पेस्ट रेसिस्टेंस लार्जली कम्स फ्रॉम केमिकल्स, क्योंकि a mode of action जो होता है, so when you spray chemicals, either they act on the nerves or they act on the skin. So the mode of action is only one. So when the mode of action is one, the resistance would be much higher, because all those weak insects which are resistant, which are susceptible, will die. Leftovers are resistant ones. That's how resistance develops. Whereas when you are using botanicals have multiple action because they are a mix of chemicals. So resistant development will be slower, but action also is slower. So action is also slower. So say if you are talking about neem spray may not be as effective as an endosulfan. But what we can do is, if we can have preventive care, अगर आपके पास फेरोमोन ट्रैप्स है, अगर आपके पास लाइट ट्रैप्स है, ये सब अगर किया तो शुरुआत में, बाद में मैनेज करना आसान होता है. That is the approach we take on the pest management.
और किसी का सवाल है, कोई क्वेरी है?
मैं एक जानना चाह रहा हूँ. आपने स्ट्रेस एंड डिस्ट्रेस ऑफ फार्मर्स ऑफ आंध्र प्रदेश आपने बताया, एंड वो कॉन्टेक्स्ट को लेकर के भी प्रोबेबली आपका ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस इसको शुरू किए हैं. So and this is I think how do you see, मैंने एक ओवरऑल आपने तो बताया कि जो डिमांड ऑफ द ऑर्गेनिक प्रोड्यूस इज वेरी हाई, 28% इन कंपेरिजन टू अदर प्लेसेस. सो एक तो समझ में आता है कि ओवरऑल एक सेंसिटिवनेस टुवर्ड्स सेफ फूड लोगों के प्रति आया है. But how do you really see that maybe in other state? I would also like to know, particularly at Odisha, आपका नजरिया से how is this state pro to such kind of practices to be adopted, and whatever is your actually experiences?
So we actually did some back of envelope calculation for Odisha recently. We did a study actually, and then the study is under compilation, looking at the Odisha millet mission. See, Odisha, two important problems we need to understand compared to any other state, which are major. One, the income of farmers is very low. Say, like I said, national level average is 10,000 rupees. Odisha average income of farmers is only 5,000 rupees per month.
Yeah.
And imagine employees' salaries is around 18,000 rupees per month, average, lowest. So the gap is very high, right? So economically, they're very low.
Yeah.
तो हम 5,000 से कम 15,000 तक कैसे लाएंगे, एक प्लान तो होना जरूरी है ना? तो ये एक बात है. दूसरी बात यह है कि द रिस्क ऑफ क्रॉप फेल्यूर्स सबसे भारत में उड़ीसा में ज्यादा है. फ्लड्स, साइक्लोन्स और ड्राउट, तीन अगर लिया तो सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान उड़ीसा में होता है. तो we need to look at how do we adapt to that situation, right? So एक तरीका है प्रोडक्शन प्रैक्टिसेस में क्या क्या बदलाव ला सकते हैं, इंस्टीट्यूशनल सिस्टम्स में क्या क्या बदलाव ला सकते हैं. तो हैव ए टारगेट एट हाउस होल्ड लेवल. आज 5,000 रुपया इनकम है, हम कैसे करेंगे उसको 10,000 तक ले जाएंगे, और 15,000 पहुंचने में कितना साल लगेगा, वैसा टारगेट किया तो फसल के साथ क्या कर सकते हैं, फसल का वैल्यू एडिशन क्या कर सकते हैं, या लाइफ स्टॉक में क्या कर सकते हैं या नॉन एग्रीकल्चर इनकम में क्या कर सकते हैं, हाउस होल्ड लेवल पे या क्लस्टर लेवल पे क्या कर सकते हैं, ऐसा प्लान तो होना चाहिए। बिकॉज नेचुरल फार्मिंग इज नॉट ए पैनाशिया, राइट? क्या कर सकते हैं आप? पूरा यील्ड इंप्रूवमेंट हम आंध्र प्रदेश में देखा है, कुछ गांवों में farmers could become, entire village has become organic, but half of the village farmers have left farming. बिकॉज 1 एकड़ में कितना भी सेविंग कर लो, कितना भी यील्ड इंप्रूवमेंट कर लो, आपको 5,000 रुपया आ रही है साल में। तो 1 लाख रुपया में के बाद 5,000 रुपया ऐड किया तो क्या फर्क आएगा उसका? 5,000 रुपया तो 10 दिन का तनख्वाह है। तो they'll go and work in other fields rather than doing farming. So that is the situation. So we need to look at it from a multiple dimensions. So एक तो होना चाहिए livelihood focus. So agriculture, when we are looking at, if we can have clear planning, per acre productivity हम कैसे improve करेंगे, cost कैसे कम करें, productivity कैसे increase करें, per household हम कैसे income increase करेंगे. If we have these two plans together, then only it works. So that's where FPO will play an important role. FPO should play that role basically. So advising, say in urban areas, we get all counseling, right? If you want, आप क्या education करना है, तो you can get a counseling. You have a problem, health problem, you get a counseling. But गांव में कहाँ है? उसको किसके पास जाना है, किससे बात करना है, कौन एडवाइस करेगा कि मेरा सॉइल में पीएच ज्यादा है तो इसलिए प्रोडक्टिविटी कम हो रही है, मैं ऑर्गेनिक कर रहा हूँ बट फिर भी मेरा यील्ड बहुत कम है, मैं क्या करूँ, किससे बात करूँ, राइट? So these are some of the very important things. So if you can set up a good extension system, it will solve the problem. And so that transition is what we need to look for. There is a question here about certification. See, certification, if it is individual, the farmer, small farmer groups, it takes 2 years. So 3rd year, they can get the organic certificate. So that is the process. And if it is the entire village is organic, which are not used any chemicals, within 6 months, they can get. There's a large area certification process. The entire village is having no chemical use. So these are the 2 kinds of certificates available.
Sir, I have another question. The
please.
area in which we are working, basically the fields are acidic in nature. So in those cases, usually farmers apply lime, and most of them actually don't apply. So is there any alternative way? I mean, is there any local
biochar? Biochar is a very good solution. So if you apply biochar, so basically आप charcoal बनाती है ना, so stem को बर्न करके charcoal बनाए तो वो बहुत आसान से कंट्रोल करेगा. चारकोल को क्या बोलते हैं हिंदी में?
नहीं, चारकोल है उड़ीसा में भी कुछ जगह में चारकोल
लोग यूज करते हैं,
यूज
तो चारकोल यूज करते
हैं, बिक्री भी होता है.
बट लोग बना सकते हैं ना, लोग बना सकते हैं आसान से.
They know also technology how to make it.
मेरा एक सवाल है, ये रिलेटेड है, मतलब सुरजीत भी ये पूछे थे, उसमें और थोड़ा क्लैरिटी चाहिए. तो जैसे कि whatever piloting and demonstration we have been doing, how government is perceiving this, and what has been our experience of collaborating with government for scaling this initiative in scale? What has been our experience? I just wanted to.
I would say experiences are positive and negative. See, it is about when we are working with governments, it is also dealing with multiple kinds of people. Genuinely, people are interested, but they may not know. So there you can actually show evidence and then build trust. There are people with vested interests, so they will be tying up with chemical industry or they have some other interests. Dealing with them becomes very difficult. You cannot convince them with any data. There's a third kind of people. We have a lot of egos. government and I know everything kind of, and then I should get my recognition. That kind of people are also there. So managing them becomes very, very difficult. Very difficult. Second problem is the finances. While they agree to pay certain things, they may not pay. So last 20 years, I think any project more than 50% we have not received, except for NABARD, SFAC, this FPO work. All other projects which we did with the State Department of Agriculture, we have not received more than 50% of the payments which they are supposed to pay. So we also decided on scaling up. We don't work directly with the governments. We do independently and we do trainings if required for the government. That's what we are trying to do. Program implementation, partnering is very, very low. We are trying to partner with other organizations who may have good relation with the government, but not directly with the government. We have not gone into it, particularly because at CSA, we always maintain our independence. So we also write a lot about the public policy analysis. So we also criticize a lot of government programs, etc. So the egos are much higher when they work with us. So we are not so good experiences. But all large scaling of programs, we are also partnered with that. So in Chhattisgarh, in Odisha, we are just starting. But in Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, we have no partnership at all. But Maharashtra, we have. So these are, I would say, love-hate relationships continue with the governments always. If you want to be independent, then it's difficult to work with the governments.
Okay, thank you, sir, for your response. Yeah, then looking at the time, we should move towards the closure of the session. Yeah, then I would like to invite Surjit to give his closing remarks for today's session. Over to you, Surjit, please.
Thank you, Nilay. I once again actually thank you, Dr. Ramu, for such a wonderful and insightful presentation. It's difficult for me to actually complete such a big presentation, but I would like to do that. I think you started with the approach that you actually taking up is the integrated approach, the cohesive approach. That is the approach actually you say is the way forward for this scaling of this activity, scaling of this organic farming or natural farming, whatever you term it. So the point is that you have tried to integrate in the farming system like this land and this crop, agriculture, livestock. So this is something you're looking at the whole farming system. This is something actually I think one of the takeaway. The second thing I think actually when I saw your presentation, I saw actually the way actually you thought that if we are actually moving in a very holistic way, you can say. You start with to solve soil health, how to improve the soil health, improving the moisture, and same time you talked about also creating how to go about quality seed production through various technologies. You talked about improved crushing with the local varieties. So creating making availability of the varieties of quality seeds to the farmer. Then you talked about the cropping practices. You say very important. Design is more important than the technology. But how you design the cropping pattern so that around the people can actually get production out of that. So that is something I think very wonderful to understand. At this third point, you talked about this. In term production, you basically focused on how local level solution can be found out. So like preparing various jibamrut, we can say like handicrafts. So various local level solutions how you can prepare, how you can make it out to address basically the production system. Then you also covered the food processing and also you talked about marketing through FPO, where you talked about that how, and in the FPO you talked about how the market focus is more on the local market, the consumption, like 94 markets goes to the local. wherever nowadays we more focus on distance market, you focus on the local market. So that is the how actually looking at that. And of course, the research and the education part we talked about, identifying gaps and then preparing various services around that. For example, you talked about preparing compost in scale, preparing various technology around microbial inoculation from the indigenous microbes so that it can be also promoted as enterprise. So those are the part of research education we talked about. The second part, so looking at the presents, I found that how you are demystifying the concept. For example, about how to observe, use the atmospheric moisture through a simple method like cover crop or green manuring. It's a very simple technology that is the demystification to actually scale up this thing. So so that and that cover crop around the year, how we can do that actually then. One way actually not only observing the but atmosphere moisture and same time also saving the soil from getting eroded, all these things. This is something I think one wonderful way of demystify the concept. And you also very other way also talked about the other dimensions like the cropping systems you have developed, like this kalpa. And that what is kalpa model. Yeah, that's the model. Many suppose the time it prevails, so we may go and see. This is small 0.5 acre model actually giving around the income on a weekly basis. Harvest, people are harvesting, getting 2,000 income. Such a wonderful model. Actually, would like to also looking at the time you can plan to see that. So this is something very beautiful things. Preparing various models which can scale up and meeting the need of the household, because the household the unit actually of your entire interventions. And the other point also talking about the whole program, you actually talked about how it is farmer centric. APO, how we're talking about how the farmer is the center and providing various knowledge, external service knowledges. It includes your information of various schemes, it includes market. I think there's this thing basically you try to incorporate in the whole service, external services. I think these are the things actually help us to look into our approach when with PRADAN also promoting these things, how you can include those learning into the whole programs. So I think these are some of the points which I thought and very important to as a takeaway for us. And last, you talked about the tracking the progress, because you believe that it's a gradual process. It's not that it's a sudden jump from this. I mean, inorganic to organic. It's a gradual process, and you need to understand how gradual process you are tracking the progress uh, through a process, through methodology, and so that is also an important component how we can track those progress. I think these are the some of things I think I need to highlight from my understanding from your presentation, and I'm hopeful. I'm quite hopeful that. Uh, how you can learn from each other. It's that's a beginning I can talk about. It's the first, I think, how you can continue to actually interact with each other, and we can learn from each other to actually to reach a large number of households, which for them it's very, very needed. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So thank you very much. It's pleasure talking to all of you. Let's hope we continue the dialogue, learn from each other.
थोड़ा सा और 2 मिनट एक
बताइए।
मैं पूछना भूल गया था एक्चुअली।
हाँ, बताइए।
मैंने देखिए, मैं तो चैट बॉक्स में लिखा हूँ कि लग रहा है कि सारे समस्या का समाधान मतलब एक लेवल में आपने जर्नी ट्रैवल किया है, बट व्हाट आर द चैलेंजेस? मैंने क्रिटिकल कुछ चैलेंजेस अभी भी आपको लगता है कि ये जर्नी में आप फेस करते हो?
इस जर्नी में प्रॉब्लम यह है कि see, if you are talking about organic farming or natural farming or any even conventional agriculture, खेती एक ecological principle के आधार पर चलता है, right? There is a natural processes, natural resources, उसके आधार पर चलता है. Whatever we do, it will follow that cycle. So it depends on rain, it depends on the natural resources, natural cycles kind of thing. Whereas when it comes to the markets, it runs on a business cycle, business principles, right? Business principles. And when it comes to the family, see, family sustainability depends on their income expenditure kind of thing. So all these have multiple and very different approaches. So integrating them becomes very, very critical. Right? So for example, the vegetable model which I mentioned, it can give you 1 lakh rupees income. But if you only have half-acre land, if it is giving you 1 lakh income, and 1 lakh is not sufficient for you, what do you do? Because 1 lakh also is about 10,000 rupees per month, right? So if your expenditure is 20,000 rupees, आप क्या कर सकते हैं? So you have to leave farming and then go for a wage labor. Because the outside world is changing significantly. So we need to look at कौन सा स्थिति में क्या solution है, rather than looking at as a watertight box saying this model has to be done like this only. Second, what I critically learned in the whole process is when we work with farmers are willing to change, provided you spend that kind of time with them. इतना बात तो करना पड़ेगी ना हर एक किसान से, then only farmers will understand. Second, that grassroots person who talks to farmers should have that enough knowledge. इसे explain किया तो कोई भी accept करेगा. No farmer till now whom I spoke with ever said no. But I should go and speak to them, right? So how do you build capacities of the field extension person so that they will be the most strong person in the entire system is the most critical one. Because उनके ऊपर जो भरोसा होता है उसके आधार पर होगा पूरा ट्रांजिशन. से आपका मेरा वो से आपका ईडी के ऊपर या आपका डायरेक्टर के ऊपर सो नहीं होगा ना. भरोसा जो आप आमने सामने जो डेली मिलते हैं उसके ऊपर होगा. वो क्या सजेशन दे रही है उसके आधार पर होगा. So getting such extension, grassroots extension person is the most critical, and building their capacity. I think that's what is the biggest challenge in the entire system.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your time. And as Yasudhita said, it is just the beginning. Many more things to learn from you, and looking forward for future collaborations and many more such meetings. Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for participating in the event.
Close करें.
Yes, Ajit.
Okay.
Close the session.